Mari clearly denies on the China side, denials now on the individual side. We're expecting to hear more from Parliament later today?
Yes, exactly. So we know that Sir Lindsay Hoyle, the Speaker of the House, is going to be addressing Parliament. We're also expecting to hear from the Prime Minister as well. And as you just kind of reiterated there, Wilfred, there's a lot of questions about, well, there's conflicting ideas, there's conflicting accounts, there's conflicting different truths about who did what, who knew what when. And I think some of that needs some level of clarity about really what is going on. As you just read, the person in question, the person who was arrested in March, has denied wrongdoing. China saying this is essentially a bit of a stitch-up, a bit of a kind of political stitch-up and a fabrication. But obviously those arrests were made in the spring, and therefore this is really not just smoke without fire at the end of the day. Now, in Parliament, we know we're going to hear from the Prime Minister, we know we're going to hear from the Speaker of the House. This is really an extraordinary story about essentially potential widespread espionage in the heart of British democracy. It is absolutely monumental. And as you were saying, those links between the person who is alleged to be this Chinese spy and quite influential, powerful MPs like Foreign Affairs Committee Chair Licia Kearns, Tom Tugendhat, former Foreign Affairs Committee Chair and now Security Minister. And there are still questions around exactly how the UK should be approaching the threat that is China. They won't call it a threat themselves, they call it a challenge. Kemi Badenoch, the Business and Trade Secretary on the Breakfast Show this morning, said she wouldn't call China a foe or a threat. And Labour actually kind of mirroring that language quite similarly. Yvette Cooper, the Shadow Home Secretary, not using the word threat or foe either. So not really massive amounts of clear blue water between the two parties, the two main parties when it comes to China. But the issue is there are kind of more and more questions emerging about exactly what's gone on. Also questions about James Cleverly, the Foreign Secretary, and his visit to Beijing last month and whether it should have gone ahead, considering that the likelihood is they already knew about these arrests because they took place in March. And therefore the overarching question from the public to the Prime Minister, which is, can the Tories still be trusted when it comes to the nation's security?